So most people don't lose progress because they lack discipline, right? They lose it in the transition, getting back to normal life, coming off of an event, coming off of vacation, coming off of some type of pattern disruption. Excuse me. So the real work starts after the event ends. That's the, integration period. This is such a crucial kind of opportunity, but also potential challenge. The gap between the event, the inspiration, the breakthrough, whatever you want to call it, and into our transition from the event to where we're implementing. That's the integration period. And it's not an overnight thing, to be honest with you. It takes time. A post-event drop is real for a lot of us. There's psychology to this. I'm going to dive into that amongst other points. And then ultimately coming from all of this, we're going to have actionable steps you can take this week in the integration period, whether this is for my peeps that came to the lifestyle retreat. I'll be sharing this with you. We'll be recapping this. Whether you joined remotely, live, or you're watching a replay, this is going to be a great tool to leverage after you've gained insight and how to continuously implement. Or maybe you have your own breakthrough or you have your own pattern disruption that's come up, whether it's vacation, being sick, travel, whatever it is. We're going to go over how do we bridge that gap in this integration phase. And even beyond, let's say there's nothing to integrate. Let's say you just, again, you went on vacation or you were sick and you're just trying to get back to your normal routine. How do we do that? That's what we're going to be covering. So the first thing I want to talk about is the data and research behind a post-event drop. There is validity and reality to that. So I want to just validate if you can relate to that experience. If you can relate to having an event, being really excited about it. I've had this happen a dozen times now, at least, where I've gone to an event and had a high and then having a drop in that momentum. But I've used these skills and these tools to integrate to not necessarily have it drop off. So after peak experiences, again, whether it's vacation, retreats, maybe it's competition, even for my athletes out there, my martial artists, whatever the event is, dopamine drops and mood often dips with it temporarily. So we're riding this natural high, again, off of competition, whether it's going through emotional intelligence course, whether it's going to a semester of school, whether it's going on a vacation, whether it's going to our retreat or any other type of a retreat, you're getting a high of dopamine, maybe even oxytocin. Getting all these chemicals and signals that are making you feel good. But then you go back to your normal environment, quote unquote normal, and you have this huge drop. This is a natural piece we get to deal with. And that's what the research will show time and time again, that the dopamine after the spike can come down and we can lose some motivation, which can feel really discouraging in the integration period. So then what do we do with this ultimately? It's not that honestly anything has changed, by the way. It's that your brain is recalibrating. So first it's understanding that is the case. Also, hey, what's going on? Thank you for saying hey. And again, if you guys are watching this live, feel free to say hey, drop in questions in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, I will go back through it. I love to have questions and things come up to add value as much as possible. So to recap that, it is normal if you're feeling this drop after an event, a vacation, a retreat, competition, whatever it is, even getting back from school, work trip, something where you're really riding high, you get dopamine, you get oxytocin, you get a bunch of neurotransmitters and signals that make you feel good, and then it kind of dips off. Now, again, the idea is what do we do with that? First is bringing the awareness to it, understanding that that's a reality and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you inherently because of that. I love the comments, by the way. Thank you on TikTok. I matter so much. It's really important. Now we're looking at number 2. So thinking about reflection, improving retention. And what I mean by retention is specifically retaining the information we got from the event itself. So people who reflect on experiences improve long-term retention and behavior change up to 23%. One specific study found in the Psychology of Science journal, which is referencing back in 2014. So a 23% increase of retention of information and ultimately integrating it into our lives. That's a significant amount. That's something that we're going to want to actually pay attention to, right? So being able to know that if you don't reflect on something, your brain treats it like entertainment, not transformation. So having the opportunity to reflect, that's the integration piece. That's an actionable step that we can take. So we have, and what I set the intention for, and I literally just sent this out to our group chat from the lifestyle retreat. We had 21 people attending in total between our staff, between the hosts, between the instructors and the guests. We had 21 people. This is the biggest event we've had. And again, by comparison to others that literally are doing hundreds and thousands of people, it's not the same. But going from 4 2 years ago to 8 in the last one to now 21, we're continuously growing. And it's really something that I'm excited about, not only from a business perspective, but ultimately from a like impact and a transformation perspective. So knowing that, being able to reflect, take time, that's an intention I set. That's the action I would invite you to start with. Carve out time after a vacation, after a trip, after a retreat to have time to digest and integrate. And again, it's not going to happen in one day. I personally scheduled for one day to get back, to get things acclimated, integrating today, gonna have time with the kids. And then the rest of this week, I'm gonna go back into coaching calls, but I'm not purposely taking action with the information yet. I'm letting it continuously digest. And that's what I was offering in our group chat that we have with all of our guests and everyone that attended the retreat, is to let this time digest. And then we'll circle back next week. We're gonna all jump on calls and follow-ups and have one-on-ones and group sessions and things to be able to help integrate this. So being able to, again, setting time to reflect will help the retention of it, whether it's even having a journal and you wrote things down, or going back through the readings, or being able to have our workshops. That's why we recorded everything, so that people can go back. Everyone that attended it live, whether in person or via our remote, will also get access to the replay, so you can go back through it. We're going to chop up highlights. We're going to repurpose all that fun stuff. It's going to be actually a lot of fun. Well, fun for me. That's my constitute of fun. And what I will invite off of that, I thank you guys by the comments, by the way. It's very entertaining. I very much appreciate it. And again, that's, with that being said, not only live, whatever the comments are, but replay too. Come back, watch it, and be able to let me know any questions you have or insight or some hilarity. That's very entertaining. I appreciate it, from TikTok to YouTube and everywhere in between. So behavior is more strongly influenced by environment than motivation. So knowing that, again, going to a place like Joshua Tree, California, that's an extremely influential environment. That's why we pick it. Even where I live outside of Asheville, North Carolina, it's a very influential environment, actually. And there's a reason why I chose to live here and in this region with the Appalachian Mountains, or Appalachian. You guys let me know how you like to say it. And the whole opportunity of the environment here. But with that being said, the same thing kind of works in the opposite direction. So we go to a place that has a really strong influence that can shift in a variety of ways, from our dopamine to even our perspective. But then we go back into our quote unquote normal routine, which, even if we love our environment, it's not the same environment we were influenced by. And especially, again, dopamine being a motivator, when dopamine drops, our environment can continuously help us with that influence and being impacted. Hey, Dina, I see you. So knowing that, work with your environment. Where you're going, be able to have that. But also, if you come home and nothing in your environment changes, nothing in your behavior is ultimately going to transform and change as well. So when you come back to your environment, start to make some adjustments. Literally start with one thing. Like, I'll tell you the first thing I'm doing, actually. And I got sent a product here. I'm going to do this as a real-time example. I got back, and I routinely have companies send me products, right? And be able to share them and review them and all that. And this particular one is a hair BTX, or a beeswax marine collagen. And the one thing I took away from one of our workshops with Michelle Culkin, who is a great kind of practitioner and healthcare provider that I really enjoy working with here in Asheville, North Carolina. She wrote an entire book, Homicide by Hygiene, talking about different ingredients and different products, specifically for our skin or for our hair. And one of the things she said to look for, the one thing that I took away from my environment to change, is starting to filter out products that have phenoxyethylene. I'm butchering it. I have it written down. It jumped out at me, and I looked in this actual product to see if it has it, because they sent it to me before I actually went to the workshop. And after going through the ingredients, they don't have that actual ingredient. So cool thing is, this is something that I'm going to keep to be able to use. Obviously, I don't have hair, but for Carrie and potentially for my daughter, Tessa, who has extremely curly hair, and you can kind of see here, best on these types of hairs. So like, she's going to be like maybe a 3A, B, or C kind of range. That's where it's going to be really helpful. So with that being said, changing the environment, integrating things into it. And then, oh, what's up, Nina? Yeah, it was great. It was great, not only turnout, but feedback and just the overall experience. It was a good time. So being able to make intentional shifts in your environment. If nothing changes in your environment, your behavior is not really going to match as well. So the big thing for me is being able to integrate one actionable coming off of a retreat. There's multiple things that we can integrate, but start with one. Being able to have awareness that, yes, there's going to be a natural drop in motivation because of you're going back to your normal routine. That's natural. It's okay if you're feeling that. And then being able to pick, hey, what's one thing I can do in my environment to integrate change? Whether it's with one of our workshops, we were talking about the influence of, again, ingredients in certain products. Cool. I'm going to start to go through all the different products I have in my house, and I'm going to start to just pull out different things. I'm not going to buy new products that have these types of ingredients that I do or don't want. Maybe it's, hey, we talked about breath work. I'm going to set up a station, like Carrie has a little meditation area behind me that has an opportunity to have my breath work going on. Hey, what's going on? I see you, Sue. Being able to have that is another example of behavior change in our environment. So find one thing you can do to shift your environment. But if you don't change your environment, nothing's really going to sustainably transform with your behavior as well. All right, so now let's move on into like locking in, even from an identity. This is piggybacking on things we've talked about and I've talked about in the past, the identity component to it. So with that being said, identity congruent behaviors are more resilient during stress. So that's a fancy way of saying when we have an identity that we are creating and kind of piggybacking on during stressful moments, we are more than likely to exhibit a certain type of behavior. For example, things get stressful. We get back. All the kids are about to come into the house in like 2 hours. Carrie's going to pick them up from school for me right now while I'm kind of having some meetings I'm prepping for and doing this. So if I want to implement I am a devoted father, I am patient, and I am calm, I get to have that identity tie, and I'm more than likely to be able to pause, breathe, and assess the situation versus being able to just say, oh, I hope that I'm going to be more calm when I get stressed out. And when the kids are kind of asking me a million questions, I don't get overwhelmed. Having an identity to it is the impact. And I'm going to kind of pause here and recap everybody because I have a couple questions coming in. And ultimately what we're talking about is coming off of either a retreat, an event, or any type of time you go away, vacation, retreat, any type of event like that, and you get back home, being able to talk about what now? How do we integrate things? How do we get back? Because again, recapping even, dopamine's naturally higher when we go on vacation. Dopamine's naturally higher when we go on a retreat. Dopamine, which is our motivator, our feel-good reward center, is naturally higher when we go to some kind of other experience, environment, or trip. What happens when we get back? Especially if it's a retreat, like we just had our lifestyle retreat, being able to get back to that. What do we integrate? How do we integrate that? That's some of the actionable. So one, having awareness that dopamine is naturally going to drop off, but it's going to actually recalibrate and be able to continuously go back after a period of time. Two, being able to actually shift your environment. If you don't actually take a shift in your environment, the likelihood of the behavior shift staying is not going to really be there. Number three, being able to reflect on whatever your experience was. Being able to increase behavior change by 23% was found in a particular study when people reflected on the information that they retained from whatever their experience, vacation, retreat, whatever that was. Okay, so being able to kind of put this together in a 4-step formula. Let's start with number one. Document 3 breakthroughs. This is something we actually kind of queued and had different journaling workshops throughout our retreat. We had multiple opportunities from a journaling checkpoint on 2 different workshops, on breathwork checkpoints, on the fitness checkpoint, on even some downtime and integrative. Is even afterwards, maybe you did this throughout your vacation, maybe you did this throughout your retreat, whatever the event was, but be able to write down 3 breakthroughs, 3 pieces of insight that you got from this that are impactful for you. So write down 3 breakthroughs. That's number one. Number 2, choose one non-negotiable habit. For me, it's going to be look through all the skincare and hair products. I'm looking for this one particular ingredient that I don't want to use anymore. That's my one non-negotiable habit. That's a new non-negotiable habit. Number 3, modify one environmental cue. So being able to use a meditative space, for example, is one of them. For me, I've yet to actually kind of hone in on what my environmental cue is, but I'm already kind of going to share what comes to mind is I'm going to it's a little kind of crazy because we just moved out of a storage unit that I was using after Hurricane Helene. We bought a shed. The shed's going to be hopefully arriving in the next week or 2. We're still just trying to honestly lock in someone to move this shed for us. And the environmental cue is going to be having the shed where all of my office and content creation space is going to be. So being able to have that environmental cue of my work gets done in the shed. I have a dedicated space for that versus having this kind of like, it's an office space, but it's a combo in the bedroom, which I don't love. It's meant to be temporary for a reason. Being able to have a workout, an office space where I get to film, I get to do my calls, I get to do all the stuff that we want to. That's the environmental cue. Another potential environmental cue that I've talked about in the past is having a message on a mirror, like a high five. Being able to use like, okay, high five habit, which I've talked about in the past, and being able to have a message to yourself. Like, I'm a devoted man. I'm a devoted father. I am devoted. That's like my message to myself this year. So that's number 3. Number 4, schedule your next anchor event. Whether that is, for me on Monday, my next anchored event is going to be meeting up with the team and being able to send a feedback survey. Or maybe it's, hey, I'm going to a month from now, get on a group call with the people from the retreat. Really, it's going to be next week. Whatever that looks like, being able to schedule your next event. So those are the 4 actionables you can take away from this. Number 1, document 3 breakthroughs that stuck out to you from vacation or from the retreat or whatever event you were going through. Number 2, have 1 non-negotiable habit. Number 3, modify 1 environmental cue. And then number 4, schedule your next anchor point or event related to that. And this is, again, a recap for specifically, I was doing this because we're getting back from our lifestyle retreat, but this applies to whether you're getting back from vacation, maybe you're getting back from school, maybe you're getting back from a trip on work or a personal development, or you're going through an emotional intelligence course. I saw a bunch of alumni that I went through emotional intelligence course with. When you get back from these types of events, they intentionally do this. This is a really helpful learning opportunity and process that I found that was quite impactful. And again, some of the data I want to share just to recap from this, and we'll repurpose this into a blog, is 1, dopamine reward is going to slightly drop off when you get back from an event because you're getting more dopamine from a new environment, from connecting with people, and just factor for that when you get back into your normal environment. Also, Jeffrey, thank you for the follow. And I'm going to get back into the comments here in a second, just kind of wrapping this up. And then being able to look at, for those that actually reflect on their experience, you're going to see a 23% increased retention in the information, which becomes really helpful, or hopefully helpful with depending on what your experience was. Then being able to also have a shift in your environment. They found statistically significant impacts on shifting your environment to be able to lock in a particular behavior pattern. For example, you don't want to eat processed food, take all the processed food out of your house. That's an environment change right there. And then being able to go into, dude, these comments, I love you guys. Being able to have a, again, environment cue piggyback with scheduling on an event. So being able to have the next checkpoint, whether it's a follow-up group call from the event that you had. That's one thing we do with everyone that's going to, that or attended our retreat. We're going to have follow-up calls, one-on-ones and group calls. And I know we even do that when I went to my emotional intelligence course. They have follow-up group and one-on-one calls to be able to help drive that accountability in the 100 days following your first event. So with that being said, and that's even, let's say it's a vacation, maybe plan your next one, have something around that. I'm going to pause here for a second. And that's pretty much it from the actual like podcasting, from the like information piece. Now I'm going to kind of circle back, check in with everybody. I want to do a more like kind of quicker recap to give value. I'm going to kind of transition now. So we'll do a little pause. I'm going to use this in the transcript to pause, be able to recap all of that. The rest is going to dive into maybe questions, products, comments. I'll circle back. I always am I got to be honest. I appreciate you guys commenting, whether it's all hilarity. I just love reading these comments. So you can tell he thinks he really matters. I love that. Yes, I'm very ego driven, clearly. But honestly, I'm sure there's a part of that. If it does come off, I appreciate that as even feedback. Like, hey, maybe it comes off like I think I'm the ish, or I really have some like grandiose ideas, which quite the opposite. But I appreciate that as feedback. And then, yo, what's going on? Little spider emoji. I see you. And then, yo, on YouTube, y'all are hilarious. Just going up to some people just saying hey, or on Facebook. I appreciate that. But also just the slamming of like, yo, where's everybody at? No one's watching. No one cares. Or what are you even talking about? What are those? Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Any kind of engagement. It's still hilarity. Or your earnings per month. Like, I think these are just great pieces. Or then saying, yeah, no offense. Like, dude, How is one supposed to take that, I guess? But I do appreciate, regardless of whatever it is, just the engagement, the comments, regardless. Now, this is an opportunity. I do want to pause because we did talk about the lifestyle retreat. We just came off of it. So I'm going to give some examples specifically to the lifestyle retreat. So for number one, being able to document 3 breakthroughs. I'm going to share my breakthroughs personally. And this is what I want to invite everyone watching this that actually went to the retreat or got the replays. And the cool thing is, you guys, even if you missed the live events, we have a all access pass to the replays. You can get it for $100. One-time fee. You'll get a full lifetime pass to these workshops and be able to watch them as many times as you want. You can even potentially explore using your insurance to cover some of the costs related to this, or all of them. Everyone's insurance can be different there. You can use your HSA, your FSA for some of this as well. If you're interested, reach out wherever you're watching this. There'll be a way to reach out, whether it's in the description or my profile. There'll be a website, a link, or a contact piece, or you can send a message. Being able to do that. So number one for my breakthrough, or one of the breakthroughs that I got, was being mindful of, again, this one ingredient that I'm looking for, which is phenoxyethanol. Phenoxyethanol. There it is. Phenoxyethanol. That one ingredient I'm looking for my skincare. That's a really impactful one because the skin is the biggest organ, which is not new information to me, but that particular ingredient and being mindful of how I get to actually use certain products with my skin or my lack thereof hair, how I'm kind of doing that. And one of the other breakthroughs I actually got was really when I got home. I got home yesterday and I have this routine of I like to eat peanut butter cups and dehydrated mangoes. And I've played on a wide spectrum of, and shout out to one of our sponsors, actually, BTR on Amazon. They sent us some, I would call, better ingredient peanut butter cups. Comparatively, Reese's, that's like, or Reese's, that's what my daughter calls them, but Reese's, that's like the, in my opinion, like worst of the processed stuff, but I still sometimes get it. And I felt it last night. Like I was literally sick to the point, like I hadn't eaten any of the peanut butter cups that I normally do for a whole week while I was out there. I usually like once a week have some Reese's, versus making our homemade recipe. The homemade recipe is the one that's really on point. I could eat every day, but I got really actually sick. I went all week without it. And I literally, after eating it, I threw up. My body was just like completely rejecting it because I was eating that much cleaner. We were very intentional with our chef coming out there. Shout out to Frankie Fuchetto. And honestly, the entire team, Gina, my cousin from GMC Influence, like putting this together along with Solaris Retreats and with Mary Cognant and other hosts that were putting this all together. I was very intentional about stepping away from my normal routine, which I am pretty good. I focus a lot on my macros, but now I get to focus. My breakthrough is the opportunity to focus on the quality of the ingredients, which I've paid a little bit less attention to since I've retired from fighting. I cared more about the macros. I still have some aspects of that and less processed foods, but being very intentional because I can feel it. I was very intentional for the whole week of the quality of the ingredients, especially because I wanted everyone else to have quality food. So my breakthrough one is looking for ingredients in my skincare and hair care nail line. 2 of my nutrition, again, quality of ingredients and the processing to that. So I'm not gonna like obviously impact my digestive system as much in a negative capacity. And then number 3 from a breakthrough standpoint was being able, trying to figure out how the best way to word this, being able to just take my time. Also, Ryan, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. Slowing things down. This has been a very intentional piece, but it's just a continuous breakthrough where I see it showing up. And I don't just mean in my goal setting in the business, but in all forms of life. I find the more I can slow down in my communication, in my speech, and how quickly I turn something over. Like it was tempting for me to do this yesterday, but I just didn't think that was realistic. Or how quickly I want to turn over and get a feedback and a survey out to everyone. I'm slowing down and taking my time intentionally around that. So those are my 3 breakthroughs. 1, the ingredients and what I'm putting on my skin and my lack thereof hair or with my nails. 2, the, again, quality of the food that I'm putting, and instead of focusing on the macros as much, which I'm still going to, and that's something I always enjoy because of the math, but now getting a little bit more intentional with the quality of the ingredients, not just because something fits the macros, but also because something's fitting the quality of the ingredients that I want. Number 3 was being able to slow down, just intentionally slowing down and not feeling that constant rush. Like I was staring up at the stars one night, and there was even a prompt in my journal, which was like, what do you feel when you stare up at the stars? And it's beautiful. For the record, for those of you that have been out to Joshua Tree, California, it is absolutely beautiful. There's like, it's no real light pollution, so you can really get lost in it. And I was staring up at the stars one night and I realized like how insignificant so many things are and how I get to slow down and how good that feels to actually allow myself to slow down. So those are like quite impactful insights. So those are my 3 breakthroughs. Those are the things I'm documenting here by doing this like live stream with you guys and creating this content. So number 2, one non-negotiable habit. So the one non-negotiable habit, I was kind of alluding to this before, and this kind of even goes into my environmental cue, is being able to look at like quality ingredients. But I'm going to get even more specific to that. My one non-negotiable habit is being able to, and this kind of pairs from being able to slow down, is being intentionally kind when I'm feeling emotional. Because one of the other things that came up, this is like super vulnerable, transparent share, was my fiance, Carrie, came with me with baby Hope. And it's a work trip for me. This was like a business trip. Hey, what's going on? I see you, Rosie. Thanks for dropping by saying hey. And it's also almost 2:00 in the afternoon here for those that are asking. And I'm based in North Carolina. It was like a business trip, right? And having my fiance come with me. I've gone on in the past with my ex-wife. I've gone on different types of like events and travel, but not really like business trips. And it's very intentionally for a reason. I was like, you know what? I don't like when I'm on business to have potential what can be perceived as distractions. But I wanted Carrie to share this with me because I knew it'd be a beautiful like experience. But what I learned was I can still, even when I'm in a heightened emotional state, be I don't intentionally even mean to be unkind. I'm just very direct, very matter of fact. And that's not just with Carrie, that's with like my cousin, with myself, with like the people I work with and I contract with. I think the place it doesn't show up with the most is my coaching clients because there's a very intentional perspective I set with that. But the people that are closest to me, I can realize I can be somewhat unkind, not even on purpose, but because I'm emotional, whether it's I'm stressed, whether it's I'm going too fast, or whether it's I'm genuinely upset, or even if I'm happy. That's the other side. Like I can be happy and not necessarily even be kind. Like any extreme feelings of emotion, I notice it can lead to unkind speech or tone or things like that. So I recognize, and this is my, again, one non-negotiable is I'm going to intentionally be kind no matter what the emotion is. And if I can't do that, I'm going to ask for like a 24-hour, like, hey, let's really explore this in 24 hours, the conversation, the whatever, be able to come back to it. Or just remove myself from the situation whenever possible. And especially when it's with kids, that's not always the case, but being very intentionally kind. And then number 3, modifying the environmental cue. I'm going back to the shed. I'm going to be very intentional about getting our shed set up, getting it delivered, clearing up from our office bedroom space into like a purely dedicated office gym space so that I can have that dedicated space. And you'll obviously see it when I'm live streaming. You guys will know the difference here. Being able to have that space dedicated and have that theme. So it'll be less kind of all over. That's my environmental cue. And the way that even overlaps with my overall quality of life and health is it's less of a stressor, honestly. And the less I notice, I can be an emotional eater. So if I'm naturally stressed or if I'm naturally trying to not, if I'm not dealing with my emotions and I'm kind of avoiding things, in whatever capacity, I can go to food like processed garbage or even regular nice food, but like overeating. So that's the one environmental cue I'm going to shift is getting the shed set up and getting kind of some of my unorganized things that I pulled out of the storage unit into there. And then 4th, for scheduling the next anchor event, it's going to actually be Monday. Monday, I'm going to touch base with Gina. We're going to follow up on what we digested throughout the week from the retreat. And then the goal is to have weekly and monthly checkpoints, not only with Gina and myself, but the entire lifestyle retreat guest list and people that came out and even the remote, being able to get that continuous anchor point so we can share with it. And then the next one I have is I'm eyeing in May an emotional intelligence course that I want to join along. So those are some of, again, the recaps, my 4-step integration formula that I personally just went over with you. Again, document 3 breakthroughs, choose one non-negotiable habit, have one environmental cue, and then schedule your next anchor event. We piggyback on those, and that is pretty much it, y'all. Again, I'm going to circle back now that I highlighted all that to our product sponsors from the lifestyle retreat, and feel free to, again, drop questions. So one of the ones I have right here with me is PES Science Select. being able to, I actually just mixed up. So this is a perfect example of, I love these like individual packets. Obviously it's more cost effective to have the giant containers. That's the most cost effective option per like ounce per dollar amount. And you're going to get your biggest bang for your buck. However, you can use these travel packets. These were absolutely clutch for getting back or being able to travel. And like, let's say I personally love having coffee and protein. That's like my go-to. They also hooked us up with some protein shakes. So being able to mix protein with the protein shakes on point. But if you don't have that, being able to throw these in, the only downside I'll say is like, this is half of a serving. So you want 2 of these for a full serving. So half of a serving is 12 grams of protein, 60 calories, just under a gram of fiber, just under a gram of sugar. Honestly, really good on the macro side. Now, what I've talked about is the quality of the ingredients. Let's look at the ingredients. So we have our milk-based protein isolate. Again, have no problems with that. Our whey-based protein. There you go. No problem with that. Leucine peptides. No problems with that. Here's cacao powder. Again, no problem. Salt. This is where we can start to get into some. Anytime it says natural and artificial flavors, it's like, I want to know exactly what they're using. That where there can be some issues. Guar gum. That's just from, I think, consistency and preservative. Sucralose and acesulfame, potassium. These are all basic things. These are where I would potentially pick at. But what I look at is the quantity as well of how many of these ingredients they have. So it's under 10 total ingredients. That's where I can be nitpicky. I'll be honest with you, with the guar gum, the sucralose, just as a sweetener, and then the natural and artificial flavors, which is pretty much any protein. You're going to have that to some degree. But the thing I appreciate about the brand is they're third party verified. So you know what's in it is actually in it. Quality stuff. I like the brand. And I just wanted to share that as an example of the insight from it. I'm going to pause and circle back to these comments because they make me hilariously chuckle. Inside. Stop yapping and end it. Bro, you're trying to get me canceled over here. No, I don't know. I don't know any of those. I do know the movie K-pop Demon Hunter, but I don't know any of the groups. I'm about that. Then Johnny says, what's going on, y'all? All right. I appreciate you guys again sharing the comments, making me laugh. All that good stuff. If you do have any questions specifically on these Amazon products or on TikTok, any of the products I have tagged from our apparel line to the supplements to the energy drinks or any of the things that we had pop up, let me know. I'm going to hang out for a little bit. I'll probably hang out for another like 15 minutes, just kind of popping into these questions. I'm actually going to go through the carousel now to see what we got. Ooh, Magic Mind. That was another really good one. I actually had a bunch. Rosie, you know this. So we had a bunch of leftover extra. So I'm going to make some follow-up content. I'm pointing to the other room because I don't actually have it in this room. Cool thing with Magic Mind is they have it's a kind of a lower dose of caffeine that you can have with green tea, matcha, and just some mushroom adaptogens and some just quality ingredients. Honestly, Magic Mind's a really on point company. I'll be honest, it's not like an amazing tasting, like I wouldn't go out of my way to drink it, but it's not horrible either. It's got like a kind of citrus flavor to it. If you've ever had a like wheatgrass shot, imagine that mixed with like lemon. So like it's a lemony flavor, not as strong of a wheatgrass flavor or standpoint, but honestly, they're really like solid as far as the ingredients. Taste is not really a huge deterrent. And I do think it's helpful, but again, treat it as a potential stimulant or anything like that. But they also very intentionally try and mix certain things so that you don't get the same jitters to that point that they're kind of like highlighting here. So yeah, so good. So I couldn't bring, yeah, I know. But we got them. So I appreciate, at least we're going to have them. I'm going to have them for like the weeks ahead. So I appreciate that. And let me see, like there's a couple other ones. I mean, I talked about them on the live stream with Gina and Rosie and one of our coaches, Michelle, yesterday or 2 days ago. But the one thing I do want to highlight, I got to give major props to the brand BTR and BTR Nation. They not only hooked it up with the peanut butter cups, or technically they were cashew nut butter, and there was also an almond butter. They were like the heart-shaped Valentine's Day themed cups. These things are so good. Absolutely so good. Like I'm gonna reach back out to them because now that they sponsored us with like just gifted products, but I literally am like, yo, you guys don't even have to pay me money. I just want your products. I really enjoy it. The other thing I was impressed by is not only their almond butter cup or dark chocolate, but they also had the hazelnut as well. Both are so good. I could eat literally a whole bag, and I'm just going to kind of break down the macros with you guys really quick. Again, I'm a big numbers guy, but the bigger thing is the ingredients. That's the other thing I was really impressed by. So I'll read the ingredients. 90 calories, 1 gram of protein. So really what I would look for if it was like for a protein would be 9 grams of protein, but not eating this for the protein. This is just like a snack that you can have that's not too crazy. So being able to have 2 grams of fiber, though, that's pretty clutch. And let's look more specifically at the ingredients. So you have cacao, almonds, dates, cacao butter, uh, Himalayan pink sea salt, plant fibers from pea, from bamboo, and from flax, and then vanilla bean. That's it. All really good quality stuff. Like, I'm really impressed. This is like another one because I've like tried, Quest Nutrition has been a sponsor of mine in the past, so they've hooked me up with free stuff. Their protein peanut butter cups, they're okay. They're like mid-tier, but these from a taste and just I would eat, I would pay for them. The BTR Nation is like top tier for me. Okay. The homemade recipes I make also are aligned with that. But hey, the bigger thing I was saying, and I appreciated them, is for those that, let's say you get back, you don't have the bandwidth or the time, it's a great option to have. They also have superfood bars. Now, they're not protein bars, to be clear. They are more of what I would consider a snack bar. And they do have some protein. So I believe it's like 200 calories, 9 grams of protein, or 160 calories, 9 grams of protein. Again, really good quality ingredients. Just everything I've seen them put out, they got good quality ingredients. Not the highest protein ratios, but they're really good as far as the ingredients they're using. And that's something that I took away very intentionally from this retreat, was being able to focus on the quality of the ingredients, not just the macros. Now, again, I will add things to this to be able to help dial in the macros. I would probably complement it with a protein shake, be able to put it with something else. Maybe it's even a meal, and this would just be my dessert. And I factor for all of the things together. It's still the proteins align, but yeah, really just overall good quality stuff. And I was excited to see them. And when I tried it, it was just like even more so, because some of the things that my cousin kind of got as sponsors were going to be for us to try in the event. I was just going to be really honest and share with everyone to see what they thought of it as well. But it was really cool to see like just how good things were. Also, I did want to give a quick pause and just acknowledge we have for all the guests. Ironically, I ordered books. My book, I have the 28-day reset, and then we also have our slow cooker because we use some of the slow cooker recipes. I ordered a book for everybody, but they arrived literally, they're getting there today, and they should have been there like 4 days ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them out and also get PDFs for everyone. But if you haven't, anyone watching on Amazon or TikTok or wherever you're watching this, I would highly recommend getting into our 28-day reset book. We have a PDF that's also great. Same thing. You can get on Kindle. We make it free every quarter, at least once a year. It was a most popular, they call it a bestseller download, but it was free on Kindle for that time, but it was in the top 10 in its category. And the slow cooker was as well as our barbecue one as well. They're all in their top 100 bestsellers or most popular downloads. And our band set as well. The really cool thing with the band set, and this was something I was really excited to do a fitness demo on, was it's probably the most expensive band listing on Amazon, but it's not just bands themselves. It is an entire training system that you get a 100-day program with, plus a meal plan that we dial in and we customize for you. You get a coach, them assigned to you, we adjust it. So for the price point, it's actually a really worthwhile investment. All right, I'm gonna pause there. And then, oh yeah, what's up, Marina? Have it on Kindle. Yes, I appreciate hearing the thumbs up and the positive feedback. Thank you, by the way. And it was also great to see you. And yeah, so we have the Kindle edition. That was the one that was our bestseller. And again, every at least twice a year, we make it free so everyone can get access to it. And if not, it's also, we try and make it as cheap as possible when we are not able to make it free, because Amazon limits us to when we can actually make it free and have it available. So we try and make it as cheap as possible to make it as cost effective as possible. Because I'm not trying to have it be our flagship product. It's literally just to give you guys information and honestly be able to build trust with you. And then if you see results, you like what we're doing, cool. You can invest in either coaching, leveraging insurance, being able to just come out to our events, those types of things. But all right, I'm going to pause here for a second. We're talking about the books, we're talking about the product lines, talking about our supplements. We even had some great apparel sponsors like Funky Junk. They really took care of us. I love my Girl Dad hat. I have that also in the other room. We have also our LOF apparel line. I want to pause, see if you guys have any questions. I'm probably going to hang out for another 7 or 10 minutes and we'll come back. And also, I love reading these comments. They just make me laugh, man. So feels like you're intentionally ignoring the comments. I was kind of talking. Can I go to, now it's bedtime. Well, again, no offense. Prank call. Yeah. So entertaining. I appreciate it. Now I don't know Blackpink or I don't know BTS. Also, thanks for the unk stop ranting kind of cue. And yeah, um, but again, any questions you guys have, happy to get into it. And if not, I might even just bring it home from here because I pretty much touched on the products I wanted to. I'm going to make some follow-up videos. So if you guys want to see some more like kind of shorter clip shoppable videos on Amazon, or if you want to also be able to see on YouTube and all of our other platforms, I'm going to be like putting them out there. But here's my again recap for you guys from the retreat. Whether you guys actually came, you're going to watch the replay. You can again get the lifetime replay access for $100. You might even be able to have your insurance reimburse you for it or cover the cost. You can talk to us about that if you're interested. But the 4-step formula, number one, being able to write down 3 breakthroughs, document 3 breakthroughs you got from the event, maybe even vacation. Let's think you just got back from vacation. What were 3 breakthroughs on your vacation? 3 things that you noticed or 3 things that you enjoyed. Maybe it's, hey, you went through an emotional intelligence course. Maybe your semester at school. What are 3 things that were breakthroughs or things that you could take away from it? Then being able to recognize what is one non-negotiable habit you are focusing on and bringing into your next 100 days. I usually invite people to take it in 100-day blocks. Then you have 300-day blocks a year. You have then about a 2-month window in between all of those things to like kind of have flexibility. It really works out in a year-over-year scalable way. So being able to have one non-negotiable habit. Then what's one environmental cue that you are going to add and or shift? And then lastly, being able to have your next anchored event, whether it's the next vacation, the next retreat, or the next time you're meeting up with the group, the next thing that you're going to do, the next check-in, could even be daily. Like daily, I like to have AM and PM journal checkpoints that I check in with myself and reflect. But I think that's pretty much going to do it, y'all. I'm going to leave it there. I will let everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for dropping in, tuning in. Rosie, is great to see you. Marina, thanks for dropping in the chat. Jeffrey and Ryan, thank you for the follows as well. Everybody on YouTube for even the hilarious, trolling comments, to the ones that are genuine. I appreciate that. Facebook, Dina and Nina, thank you for dropping in and saying hey. And even on TikTok, again, appreciate the trolling comments and just the like legit ones. Either way, it's entertaining. It helps out. It's appreciated. And it's good feedback. Even if I think that I matter more than I do, that's good feedback for me. Maybe now I'm coming off as a kind of person that I get to shift a little bit and reevaluate. But that is it, y'all. I will be back next week. We're going to be shifting our schedule with the office hours. I'm no longer doing them on Sundays. I'm going to take that as kind of like a day to rest, kind of reflect, connect with God, all those good things from my side of it. But usually it's either going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. We're playing around with the days and the times. If you guys want to vote on that, you can go into our weekly on our website. We have where you can request and vote on topics. And we're going to be still doing giveaways starting again next week for anyone that does vote on it. So there it is. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to bring it home here, and I might even hang out on Amazon a little bit longer. You didn't take my name? I got you. Trying to get that giveaway? Huh? You trying to get your giveaway on? Win $50 gift card? What you mean? I got you. But all right, y'all. Bye, everybody.